Sod Talk is brought to you by AgPro.
When you're near Doe Campbell, come by and visit the cemetery and press the button. You'll hear from legendary Seminoles who tell you about their days on the road against the crowd and against the odds when they brought home the sod.
Rashad Greene came to FSU in 2011 and after a remarkably consistent and productive career, left as the Seminoles' all-time leader with 270 pass receptions and 3,870 pass receiving yards. He is second only to Peter Warrick with 29 receiving touchdowns. Coach Jimbo Fisher said of him, "Big-time plays in big-time games." And of course, his big-time plays were key to the 2013 National Championship. In 2025, he became an FSU Hall of Famer in his first year of eligibility. Seminole National Champion and Super Bowl champion William "Bar-None" Floyd is with our new Hall of Famer, Rashad Greene.
All right, thanks, Doug. Rashad, it's always great to be with a great legend, a Florida State legend, and thank you for being a part of SOD Talk this morning.
Great to be on.
We're talking about it. You are from Albany, Georgia. You ended up at St. Thomas Aquinas down in Fort Lauderdale. That ain't a short drive.
Okay, so pretty much the story with me ending up at St. Thomas is like my father, he's actually from Fort Lauderdale. One of the coaches on the staff at St. Thomas went to school with my pops, and they pretty much just made that connection. My dad was always telling him about me, and he told my dad, he was like, well, if your son is, as good as you say he is, bring him to South Florida and we'll see. So it was like a challenge for both me and my pops to go down south and compete. And that's pretty much how I was able to go down there. And my grandmother was already living there, so I just ended up moving in with her. And that's pretty much how it happened.
We definitely appreciate your pops pushing that and then getting pushed from St. Thomas up to Tallahassee. And I got to talk to you about your room. You came into FSU, man. There was so many great receivers in that room at that time. Tell me what it was like, number one, being in the room with all that talent at the wide receiver position, and then having all those guys to compete again in practice to sharpen that iron to make you a sharper player.
Just being around those guys is something that I was able to take advantage from, because I was able to pick the brain of the older guys and also, just steal some of their stuff. That's what good players do. I'm going to study the guy that's next to me, take a little bit from him, take a little bit from this person, just to be able to better myself. So being a part of that room and those great group of receivers was amazing.
And you talking about a household name that you became at Florida State. Your freshman year, we're playing number one Oklahoma before a record crowd of 85,000 at Doak. You have an unbelievable catch right there in the middle of the field, 58-yard TD. Bring us right into, back into like 6 points away from them. Some people say that was the loudest Doak ever got. What do you remember about that playing that game?
I remember, me personally, that whole game and that week to that game, like I knew I was coming in, and that was really my first game of truly having an opportunity to compete and become a starter as a freshman. So that game was the game that I actually started and was able to compete. So, nerves was definitely high, but at the same time, I knew I had to take advantage of that opportunity. And absolutely, that was the loudest that I ever heard Doak.
And then talk about going into Virginia Tech, your sophomore year. We're down by 2 with a minute left. You come throwing it with this catch on third down, again on third down, outrun everybody to the house, take it to the house on that play. It took us to 9-1, and then it took us to the ACC championship game. But what do you remember about that night in Blacksburg?
Going into that game and just navigating, like everything had to be quick. We knew going in that it would have to be a catch and run. We didn't have time to create a play to go down the field, so it had to be something quick that we can get the ball and use our legs. And that play was called X Cross, and that was my bread and butter, like my entire career. Like that was, for me and Coach Fisher, that was always a blind call. Like you could call that play and he knew that I was gonna get open, and he knew that if it was third down, I was converting.
And you were always making big plays, man. I mean, you were probably the most consistent receiver of that era, no doubt about that. 2013 National Championship year, we go to Clemson. Y'all are ranked number 5 in the nation. They're ranked number 3 in the nation. Y'all had already told everybody what was going to happen, you know, and for y'all to go out there and get it done and beat Clemson 51-13 at home like that. You had 8 catches, 146 yards, 2 touchdowns, including a beautiful 72-yard scamper to put the dagger in the heart of Clemson. Tell me what it was like for you that night at Death Valley.
But we were locked in from the beginning to the end. Like, we knew exactly what we came there to do. And it was pretty much to make a statement that we was going to win a national championship.
Yeah, and y'all definitely made that statement. I mean, when I look back on that game, that was one of the best performances on the road that Florida State had ever had. I mean, that was a huge game, the biggest game in the country. I think that really determined who was going to go on that year to win the national championship, and we ended up getting it done. And we're talking about the national championship in Pasadena, the Rose Bowl. We're down by 4 with like a minute and 11 left on the clock. You have the play of the game to set up that doggone that catch by Kelvin Benjamin. Like, what were you thinking when that last drive started?
That was a routine pitch and catch, as we like to say. So that was like something we did on a daily basis. So him throwing me that slant and me splitting it, it wasn't that big of a deal because we did it all the time at practice and going against the best defenders, the best defense. So it was just like clockwork. So when I caught the ball, I was just really trying to score. And when he tackled me, I got up and everybody was like going crazy. And I saw the horse collar signs that people was trying to say he was fucking. But I was just like, listen, I'm finna win this game. So it was definitely one of the biggest plays that I feel like was the most impactful play. And it was simple. It was just a simple slant.
Like, if you look at the YouTube of me on that game when Kevin caught that ball, I lost. I jumped up. My headphones popped off my head. Gene Deckerhoff is still over here doing this thing. He's the ultimate pro, man. He's like setting everything back up, and I'm just knocking everything down. But yeah, that was a good time watching that one, man. And what did it mean for you to bring back that grass, that sod, to put in the sod cemetery in 2013 right there? You know, I love walking by the sod cemetery, and those are the hugest games in Florida State history. But what did that mean to bring that sod back?
It meant a lot, man. Just knowing in that moment, you kind of go back to the beginning. So we knew what we set out to do. If you put the work in and do what needs to be done and make the sacrifices, this is what you get. That moment relives in my head all the time.
To finish this thing off, 270 catches, big play after big play after big play, a national championship, now a FSU Hall of Famer. I just want to say, what has FSU meant to you?
FSU means a lot to me, man. That was one of the biggest decisions that I made in my life that ultimately set me up for life, man. I wouldn't want to be part of any other family of coaches, players, and they are my brothers. And to now be a part of a group of guys, you know, in the Hall of Fame, and that's a dream come true. Because I always went into different situations or went into college wanting to be like impactful. I wanted to be remembered like as a great teammate, as a great player, and those were my dreams. I always dreamed big for myself, and to have this stamp being put on my career, man, it's the ultimate achievement for me because that place is so special to me.
And I just got to say, you know, welcome to the club, man. I can't wait to see you go in, get enshrined into Florida State history. I just want to let you know you are an all-time great, and thank you for being a part of SODTALK, man. Go Noles.
I appreciate you, man. Go Noles.
SODTALK is brought to you by AgPro.